Let's get into it. Sold Not for Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. We have Joe Rogan with Mike Baker getting the Social Security uncovering that Doge has done completely wrong. He's going to say some stuff that's just completely wrong. I'm going to correct him. I'm going to out this guy that he's using as a source, show you that person. Then I'm going to give you a breakdown of what happened when Doge confronted the Social Security admin at the time and why she resigned. I'm just going to give you a full breakdown of what's happened in regards to what Doge has uncovered in the realm of Social Security. And again, I know you guys, I do love Joe, but in this one, he's just completely wrong. And we'll break it all down. Let's get into it.
To a death is the messaging idea. But I think
this is important too, because today, now they're talking about Social Security.
Yeah.
And that people are receiving Social Security that are 150 years old. But I don't think that is the reality as it's being explained by people who understand COBOL, the language, and this computer programming language that they use is ancient, right? Which is kind of crazy that they're still using that, right?
It's a government. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
So some guy who understands it was explaining that if certain factors aren't taken into consideration or certain things aren't entered in, like date of birth or when there's certain things
or date of death, or,
right? But it doesn't even necessarily mean that all these people are receiving checks,
right? Right. They're just listed on the files.
Right.
And it doesn't mean money's going out to them. And so, again, from a messaging perspective, does Elon need to screenshot that and then send it out as a tweet or whatever we call X nowadays? And then suddenly you've got, a couple million people going, oh my God, we're paying dead people. Well,
right. That's the problem with being hyperbolic. I'm going to send this to you, Jamie, because I was confused myself. And so I was like, what exactly are they saying? Because it seems like the people that understand that programming language are the ones that aren't jumping on board and saying, hey, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Vampires exist amongst us. There's 300-year-old people getting Social Security. That's not what they're saying. The people that actually understand it are saying that's not really the case.
Although how cool would that be if vampires existed among us and we found out the 300-year-old people were making benefits?
That would be crazy. Like, how crazy. So I'll send you this, Jamie. This is this guy's explanation of it.
But that 4.7, I'm sure we're going to find the trillion. Of course, some of that money goes out, and I think if you follow money in the government, it's always more effective and interesting than anything else, right? You always get to the bottom of things by following budgets.
Yeah.
Depending on how it's hidden, right? And so a lot of that money is going to be, perhaps it's in black budgets for who knows, for Defense Department activities. It's worth digging into because it's always fascinating.
So this is a guy that explains it. I'll read this. I hope he's correct. There's a gentleman named House of Carter on X. He said, this isn't a vampire conspiracy. It's just COBOL, C-O-B-O-L. Legacy government systems, especially Social Security, still rely on COBOL, a language designed before anyone thought databases would need to track people beyond 99 years old. The numbers you're laughing at aren't literal ages. They're most likely misinterpreted categorical codes or data artifacts from outdated formatting. Social Security isn't paying 150-year-olds. The system uses fixed width fields, and when modern databases misread them, they mistakenly interpret grouping codes as real ages. This happens when old mainframe logic isn't properly translated into newer systems. So no, there aren't thousands of people over 150 getting checks, but there are a lot of outdated systems that need modernization. Maybe focus on fixing that issue instead of hyping up a non-issue. So there's multiple people that have said the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
This guy says, I'm an old programmer, coder in today's parlance. As many old programmers know, COBOL, young coders don't. When Musk claims that Social Security is paying thousands of 150-year-olds, I think someone should let him know that in COBOL, if data is missing, the program defaults to 1875. Example, 2025, 1875 equals 150. So for some reason, if data is missing, the program defaults to this ancient date, and it's just a problem with data.
Yeah.
Which makes more sense than 150-year-olds.
Exactly. But again, so fine. I dig into it, find out, and you know what? If the end result is, you don't have 150-year-old people getting benefits, but the end result is that you modernize the way that we store information, right? Then great. There's a benefit to Doge right there, right?
Yes.
We've created a more efficient system for tracking and paying out, and good. So everybody should not have a hard-on about an organization called the Department of Government Efficiency,
right?
And I think ultimately they're going to do a very good job. I just think let's.
So this is something to think about with Social Security, though. So there's that, which is probably a misinterpretation of data.
Right.
And there's other one that I just sent Jamie. So there's this woman who's a whistleblower, and she's saying they were incentivized to qualify illegals for long-term disability to qualify illegals for Social Security for life. So they were set for life. And in quote, she says, they wanted us to try to identify them in such a way that they would qualify for long-term Social Security disability. Now, long-term Social Security disability is for life. So if they got identified and qualify for long-term Social Security disability, they're as good as set up for life. That doesn't sound like a refugee to me, she's saying. Just being honest, it sounds like someone who's planning on staying here. So they're instructed to try to get the client, because once they arrive here, now they're called clients. So they told us that we needed to talk to the client and ask them if they had any headaches, reoccurring headaches, or any lower back problems, anything that would qualify them for Social Security long-term disability, which is crazy.
Yeah. And then, but again, trackable information, you would think, right? So you can go in, if you're serious and persistent about it, you should be able to go in and identify. Yes,
let's listen to this lady talk about this, because this is something that when people are talking about the problems of Social Security, this seems, if she's telling the truth, this seems real.
Right.
Just being honest, that sounds like somebody who's planning on staying here.
Yeah,
a refugee
right.
stays until the problem's over and then goes home.
Well, that's right. And so they instructed us to try to get the client, because once they arrive here, they're now called clients.
They're called clients.
Yeah,
okay.
Because clients pay.
Sure.
See?
Sure. I'm starting to
so,
see where this is leading here.
So they told us that we needed to talk to the client and ask them if they had any headaches, recurring headaches, or any lower back problems. Excuse me. Anything that would qualify them for Social Security long-term disability.
Wait. So let me get this straight. Part of the screening is supposed to be, are you sick, maimed, injured, whatever?
Right.
Okay, good, you can come in.
Yeah.
You get on the airplane, are you sick, maimed, injured, whatever? Yes. Good, so we can give you disability.
Correct.
What?
Yes.
This is insanity.
Yes, it is insanity.
But in order to get Social Security disability benefits, don't you need a Social Security number?
Well, we were instructed in the meeting that one of the first things we were supposed to do was sign them up for Social Security. Yeah.
Wait. This is unbelievable. So they come over here and they get a Social Security number.
Right.
They become legal.
Correct.
Are you pulling my leg?
No, I'm not. And then after we processed them for a Social Security card, then we were to process them for a U.S. passport.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I think we again, fascinating if it's true. It's outrageous.
Fascinating if it's true.
If it's true, but you need corroboration on something like that. Right?
Who is that lady?
Yeah. And that's
She's Mossad.
Dude,
I know, every time we've seen a whistleblower the last few weeks,
she's Russian
they
disinformation.
show like who they are, what they did. What
Right, I don't even know where that came from.
Yeah,
see if you can find that out.
I don't even know what that's.
I mean, that's just due diligence, right? Okay, let's. So I think that's great, and the obligation then is to say, okay, well, who is she? Why does she have this knowledge? Is she credible? Can you corroborate it with other sources? And if you can, then yeah, you've got a serious problem. When at that moment where she said, get them a U.S. passport, that's where I started. That little flag went off, and I thought, hold on a second. Wait. Let's dig into this and actually see.
Is that possible?
That video's from 2017.
2017.
Wow.
It's a radio show. A Missouri woman is interviewed by radio show Josh Tolley. So
Wow, that's 2017. That's crazy.
Yeah. God.
But what would be the benefit of that? The benefit of that would be you get a voter for life. If you are in whatever party,
you assume,
whether it's the Republican Party or whoever it is that allows this to happen and hooks these people up and sets them up, you would think that those people are going to vote that way for life, because those are the people that gave them American citizenship, essentially, gave them Social Security for life. All you have to do is tell them, look, you get this check for life. All you have to do is keep voting, and vote. right way to go, right? You know, I mean, don't vote with your conscience. I want you to vote with, you know,
and we'll regularly remind you who to vote for.
Yes, we'll
sure.
tell you. We'll send you newsletters.
Yeah, I mean that would be fair, and that is.
Now, here's the thing. I'm going to look into this Josh Tolley person while we're all talking here. But here's the main thing. Why aren't they even examining the aspect of fraud? Isn't that odd? You know, the oddest things happen when Mike Baker comes on the show. And I do enjoy a Mike Baker appearance, I have to say. They talk about a range of issues, but Mike Baker himself, it's very odd when he comes on the show. I can't find anything to do with Josh Tolley. I put in the name. I put it the way I think it's spelled. If you guys know anything about Josh Tolley in a radio show, please let me know. I'm not seeing anything here on X. I'm not even seeing the clip that Rogan had, and they didn't show the actual channel or the X page, so I wasn't able to find that. But just getting back to it, they didn't even examine the aspect of fraud. That's not even something that they touched on while they were talking. You know, Elon Musk is not being hyperbolic in this whole thing. And it's interesting. And again, I guess it's because it's Mike Baker. And, you know, when you're a part of the CIA, you're always a part of the CIA. And I guess I'll go here first. Well, what should I give you guys first? Should I give you a breakdown of everything that happened and then go to his source? You know what? Let me do that first, because there's some videos in there and whatnot. And, you know, it's a little more fun to watch, I'll be honest with you. So as soon as Elon Musk and his team approached the Social Security Administration, the head of it resigned right away. She's like, nope. And her reasoning was, I don't want to give you access to sensitive information.
All right, we have some breaking news for you. The acting head of the Social Security Administration has resigned. Michelle King's departure comes after she refused to provide DOGE staffers access to sensitive information. Your information. King had been with the department for 30 years. It's the latest act of resistance meant to slow cost-cutting moves by President Trump and Elon Musk. DOGE had to go to court to gain access to Treasury payment systems, and it is fighting to enter a sensitive database in the IRS.
So she said that she resigned, this Michelle King person, she resigned because she didn't want Elon Musk to have access to sensitive information. But here's the thing. When it comes to all of this information that we're talking about, let me make sure that I pulled up. Oh, I didn't pull that up. Let me just make sure that I have this for you guys here. We'll just go Elon Musk Social Security. Spell it right. You're in front of thousands of people. Spell the words right. It gets nerve-wracking. I'm like, oh, I'm going to spell it wrong. So Elon Musk has all this stuff. She didn't want him to have access to this information. But here's the thing. If they're looking for waste, fraud, and you know, and abuse, and it comes to Social Security, there's no other way for them to look for it other than to have access to sensitive information. I mean, you have to look at people's names. You have to look at their addresses. You have to look at their date of birth. You have to look at date of death, if there is any. You have to look at how much money they're being given. You have to see all of it. And also you have to see how much they contributed as well. That way you can tell if there's an overpayment. You can tell if it's just gross negligence. You have to be able to see all this. So her reasoning, this Michelle King woman, was actually complete garbage, in my opinion. I don't see, it doesn't make any sense to me. President Trump commented on the whole thing as well. Here it is. And those of you who watch the channel, I know you watch this channel and the other channel. If you are one of those people, thank you so much. You're also going to see a little bit of overlap because I did cover this topic extensively on the other channel. So I am sorry for the overlap, but I do have to show this just to expand on what Joe's talking about.
Your reaction to Michelle King, the head, resigning after the DOGE?
Who resigned?
The head of Social Security.
I don't know. I mean, I resigned or got fired. I think got fired. You know, when you fire somebody, they always resign, and then they say, we resigned. But when you have numbers like that, I think really it's got fired. They have to get fired. Who would keep them? How could you have numbers like this? Now, the big thing is How many of these people got paid? Were they getting paid? Were they getting paid? How many of them were getting paid Social Security? Because if that's the case, it's a massive fraud. We'll have to call those great Palm Beach police into this situation, right? You guys would figure that out very quickly. But how many of them are being paid? I mean, maybe millions of them, but it's a total fraud. Also, a lot of illegal immigrants are in Social Security that shouldn't be there.
So that kind of touches on both things that Joe was talking about. There are illegals that are on it as well. That is definitely fraud. And who actually set that up? That woman in the clip that Joe was playing, she claims that her and many other people set that up at the request of, I guess, the head admin at the time, which may have been Martin O'Malley, which I'm going to play a clip of him speaking in a second. But it's just, it's so funny that Trump is just like, did she resign or did she get fired? I don't know. Because I'm looking at these numbers here and she should be fired, but she resigned? Okay. It's one of those things where it's just like, he's right, 100%. Doge, you know what your database looks like. Let me pull up that data. You know your database looks like this, where these are ages. These are ages here, guys. This is not a code or something. These are ages. And there's this many people of this age. You know your database looks like this, and someone's looking for waste, fraud, and abuse, and you're going to be on the hook. The first thing I'm doing is resigning. Hi, we're here to audit the company. Bye. I have to go. It's been really good. I don't need my stuff. Bye, everyone. Bye. That's it. I'm gone. I'm out of there. And I'm leaving in a helicopter because I'm rich after all the years of stealing money. I'm kidding. She didn't do that. Michelle King. She didn't do anything like that. She's just a hardworking person. But they are going to have to look into her a little bit. I would think they're going to have to look into this lady a little bit. Michelle King, it seems like you're getting 10 million payments of social. You get 10 million payments a month? I don't recall. Can we see your bank statements? You have $500 million in your account. I don't recall. I don't know. I'll ask my helicopter pilot if he's seen anything. Marquise, have you seen any? He doesn't know either. I have to go. Gas up the helicopter, Marquise. We have to go to international waters right away. I'm kidding. There's no proof of that. No one's even speculating that. But Trump does want to know where all this money's going. Let me play another clip for you guys here. Guys, sorry to interrupt the video. You know I don't like to do that, but I just had to let you know that there is another channel that I have. Okay, we have 255 videos, and this is where we break away from the Joe Rogan content. We are covering breaking news. We are covering just things that are going on, culture war stuff, woke nonsense, all sorts of stuff like that. So for those of you who have been asking, hey, what's with the big focus on Joe Rogan? Here it is. This is where we break away from the Joe Rogan content. Coach Colin Media, link in the description. Let's get back to the video. This is Trump actually going through the numbers that I just showed you.
People that live to 100 to 109, 4,734,000. Wow, that's a lot. That means over 100 years old. They're 4 million people. I don't know too many. I know people that are doing great in their 90s, but not too many people over 100. But over 120, from 120 years old, people that are 120 years old up to 129, 3,472,000 people. Wow. You know that can't possibly be, because the record is like, I think it's one person, a woman, lived to 127, but they have 3,472. Okay, but now we're going really in. People from 130 years old to 139-year-old, 3,936,000. Wow. I wonder if people are getting paid with all this. I mean, are these checks? And that's what we're checking right now. People from 140 years old to 149 years old, 3,542,000, 140 years old and beyond. Now, Now we're really going because we're looking to break the record by 25 years. People from 150 years old to 159 years old. 1,345,000. These are in the, by the way, these are in the computer files. This is what they do well. They're super. I asked Elon, who are these Doge people? He said they're super brilliant computer people and they love the country. It's simple. Wait a minute. People from 160 years old to 169 years, 121,000. So 160-year-old people. 170 to 179,000, 6,087. But now, let's go into the real numbers. From 200 to 209 years old, 879 people. From 210 years old, I haven't met any of them. And if I did, I would bless them. I would worship the ground they walk on. 210 to 219 years, 866. From 220 years old to 229 years old, 1,039. And then you have two people. From 240 years old to 249 years old, one person. And there's one person that's 360 years old. That's just that.
That's just that. You know it's bad when Trump is speechless, right? Like, this guy usually knows
people
what
that
to
live
say.
to.
He usually knows what to say, and the fact that he's speechless, that's a real problem. Although, I did find on my X page, and this is not even a plug for my X page, but I did find the people that Trump thinks don't exist. I actually found one of them. He said somebody was 369 years old. There he is. It's him. It's 100% him. You put a like on that post, because that man is a relic right there. There he is. And then he said there was two people who were a little younger than that. I found him right there. There you go. Case solved. Let's put all this behind us. Just like Mike Baker says. Nothing to see here, guys. Right? Look at this guy. 369. Got a smile like a 30-year-old. Never seen him happier. You don't know who that is. That's former President Biden. According to our records, he's 436 years old. Still collecting Social Security, as he should be. I don't see a problem with that. Man's done a service. This guy was on this land back when it was just him and the Comanches, okay? And the Apache. And he survived all that and became president of the United States of America. 81 million votes, I'm just saying. Give that man his flowers. And these two are demons. Anyway, let's go into the next clip. Let's go into the next clip here. This is Martin O'Malley. So he used to have the position that Michelle King just left. So he's talking to CNN about what he thinks is going on. And then I'm going to touch on something that I think Rogan, Baker, Martin O'Malley, they're all getting wrong. This is so crazy.
Elon Musk has claimed that SSA is rife with fraud, suggesting that benefits are being paid to dead people, that millions and millions of dollars are going to waste. You're laughing, but that is a concern that a lot of Americans have. Is it not? Is it a laughing matter?
Well, yeah. He has no idea what he's talking about. There is not like a zombie apocalypse of people, cadavers running around with Social Security checks coming out of their pockets. On the contrary, what's more common that happens is, it's a big agency, so yes, there are outliers. It's 72.5 million people. Sometimes really desperate people will try to hide the fact that grandma died so they get a couple more checks. But more often, because of the checks we have in place, where we interrupt payments of people over a certain age, especially if they stop receiving Medicare benefits, we're more commonly more usual is that we have to restore benefits when we erroneously cut them off when somebody moves out of country or something. But no, Elon Musk, the co-presidents keep throwing stuff out on Twitter and that they can never back up. Ask Elon Musk. Show me the 12 people that are 150 years old. He can't. Show me the 200 million that are still receiving checks. He can't. These 19-year-old nitwits from Doge.
I'm sorry, I got to interrupt. What are those numbers he's throwing out there? He just said 12 people who are 150 years old. Put some respect on these people's names, okay? There's clearly 1.3 million of them. And then he says the 200 million people who are all this random wild age who are receiving these benefits. This is clear. Like, look at these ages. Look at from 100 all the way down to 369. That doesn't equal 200 million. What's he even saying? Anyway, sorry.
That are violating the law and plucking people's, personal identifying information. They don't know what they're looking at because, the IT system that those dedicated employees have kept cranking out the checks, even during COVID, are very old. And they have an expertise. But now Donald Trump, what the biggest threat is to Social Security? Is that the co-presidents are going to drive out another 10,000 people from an agency that's already buckling under 50-year low in staffing and all-time high in customers.
I just want to be
3 years, they had the worst attrition rate in the federal government.
I just want to be as precise as possible on something. Do you have any evidence that these folks working at Doge have plucked, as you say, Americans' personal information, or are you speculating on that?
I'm not speculating. I've talked to a number of people inside the agency, and I have no doubt that the recent retirements were because of people wanting to do something improper with personal identifying information. You have to, I can understand, as President Biden's Commissioner of Social Security, that the dedicated employees at Social Security consider it their sacred duty to protect people's personal identifying information. It is a fireable offense if an employee goes through and browses to see, what their brother-in-law might have made in the course of his life or those things. It's a fireable offense, and oftentimes it's something that is referable to the Inspector General for criminal prosecution. But now we can't do that because the co-presidents whacked all of the Inspector Generals whose job it is to police against waste, fraud, and abuse. So there is abuse going on, and it's all been committed by the 19-year-old nitwits at Doge.
This guy is ridiculous. Even the CNN guy can't believe. Look at his face. He's just like, I can't believe this. I'm gonna do this until I'm Wolf Blitzer's age. He's like, is this for real? This is what I have to listen to? Guys who might go to prison if they're seen as guilty of doing anything to this social insurance money, social security money. I gotta listen to guys like this. I shouldn't. I should have never went to that Diddy party. One Diddy party, and now my whole life is just propaganda 24/7. This is ridiculous. But it is true that this guy could possibly, now again, all alleged, and nobody knows what's going on with this. That's why Doge is looking into it, because there's just too much negligence. This guy could be on the hook for something. He was in that position during Biden's administration. Who knows what that leads to? And for some reason, during the administration, he was let go. Michelle King actually took his spot. So who knows what all of that really is? I don't know. I don't get it, but I don't believe a word that this guy's saying. But I did want to just bring this up because he thinks that the argument, Joe, for some reason, thinks that the argument, Mike Baker, for some reason, thinks the argument is whether or not there are actually people who are 150 years old taking these payments. No, that's not the argument. Those people, if real, are dead, obviously. Trump is not speculating. Trump is up here making jokes. He knows there's no one 300 years old taking these payments. That's not the argument. I don't know why so many people are gravitating towards this argument is if there are 150-year-old people taking money. The argument or the issue is that if there are actual people of these age groups in the system, if they are receiving money, is it civilian fraud where somebody has just made it so their grandfather's payments are going to them because they have the same last name, and they just make it seem like he's still alive. Maybe they never report his death. Maybe he died abroad. Maybe he left the country, died abroad, and now you're still collecting the payments. Is it civilian, or is it some weird, unscrupulous federal employee who's collecting the money? Or are all of these accounts combined together and used to, I don't know, send money to someone for some reason? You know, I won't speculate. That's what people want to know. What Doge wants to know is what is going on with this. It's funny that you're seeing people of all these age groups, this many of them. It's funny. But the issue is, who are these people? And if there is money being sent to them, who's collecting it? That's what the issue is. You know? I don't understand why people keep, so there's not dead people receiving. Yeah, there possibly could be. That's a possibility. It is possible for a civilian to do this. It's also, after everything we've seen, it is a possibility that there's a federal employee getting this money. Possibly. The thing is that no one knows, because nobody in this administration of people, no one's questioned all of this. And then when you go back to what this guy's saying about these Doge nitwits, these guys are really smart. Like, yes, one of them is 19. They're in their early to mid 20s. Yes. But when it comes to software and coding and all these things, this is not an old man's sport. It's a young person's sport. So it doesn't matter how young the guys are. If they know coding, they know coding. And to act, Joe Rogan's bringing it up, and we'll get into his source right now. But to act like just because it's an old system, they won't possibly know about COBOL is crazy. Of course they know about it. And also to think that these Doge characters, whoever they are, to think that they're not sitting down with someone who is working with this administration and saying, can you show us their databases? Can you show us what this is? What does this run on? You think that a software engineer wouldn't ask the question, what does this system run on? Is this SQL, or is this COBOL, or is this something older? You think he wouldn't ask any of those questions? You think Elon wouldn't ask any of those questions? I don't get it, man. I don't get why people are bringing this up as an argument. This is not the argument. It's not the argument to be making. Now, this is Joe Rogan's source. This is the House of Carter person that he was quoting here. So this person is a CTO. They're a hacker. They're an entrepreneur. They're an information architect. AI is what they have pinned there. So overall, this is a technology person who claims to be a vice president in banking. I will also say this. This is just my bias because I've seen it so many times. That's an AI picture. I don't think that this is a real person. Now, I'm not saying it's a bot. I don't think this person's who they say they are. But we're going to go under the premise that they are, and that they are smart and everything like that. So first off, you have to actually look into this person. This person's whole account is dedicated to talking smack to MAGA, to Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, House GOP, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, anyone who supports Trump, Elon Musk. This guy's whole account is dedicated to talking smack about these people. That is all this guy does. He doesn't talk about AI. He doesn't talk about technology. He doesn't talk about anything. Like even here, J.D. Vance, it's cute watching you pretend to be a free speech warrior while standing next to a guy who openly threatens to prosecute his critics. And he's talking about Donald Trump there. You're screaming out Orwellian while cozying up to a movement that wants to criminalize dissent. He's talking about MAGA. His whole persona is just this. So I don't understand how Joe didn't see this. I don't know how he didn't go through this. Also, just to say, this guy actually said, this is real. He is saying that MAGA is akin to radical a sect of Islam extremists, and how is similar to how the KKK perverted Christianity. Christian nationalism has become a key pillar of MAGA. It operates the same way. He's comparing it to radical Islam and the KKK. That's what he compares the MAGA movement to. That's who Joe's listening to in this whole thing, okay? But then I found the actual post that the guy made that Joe actually read out. So I won't read it again, but Joe was just talking about, he was just reading off this post about Cobalt and what it actually is and blah, blah, blah. But what Joe failed to show everybody was all the people who were calling him out. Your evidence that none are being paid. I have prior experience in Cobalt, prior experience with the difficulties converting legacy data. I know what you're talking about. Suggesting 20 million error records have been allowed to exist 40 years with live data, still sad. And then again, this guy is basically a troll account. Okay, so the first thing he says is having prior experience with COBOL clearly isn't helping you think clearly here. The issue, whether error records exist, it's whether they were misinterpreted when pulled, given how often legacy data gets jumbled up when modern systems try to read it. It's far more likely that this is a classification error than an actual case of 150-year-olds collecting checks. Again, that's not the argument. I don't know why so many people are gravitating towards that argument. No one thinks that they're 150-year-olds. And also, to act like as if that's completely just not possible is crazy. Fraud is possible. It just is. When it comes to payments being made, errors are possible, fraud is possible. So even if you're right and the data is misinterpreted, what is the system that reflects correct age and eligibility for people? There's got to be a correct set of data for the system to work as it's supposed to, right? So there's a lot of people tearing apart what this guy's saying. You are deliberately misstating. He did not say that there were people receiving benefits, although some subset likely are. Rather, this is an obvious flaw in the data, is ripe for fraud and needs to be addressed. That's the argument, that there's clearly something going on here. And who let it exist? Again, this is more people in his replies. LOL, it's COBOL. It's a COBOL issue of the date being left blank, a non-issue. Get the F out of here. Why is there no date of birth on the SSN? What is a big issue that needs to be highlighted and made fun of and fixed? Or sorry, that is a big issue that needs to be highlighted and fixed. What are you even defending? There are so many people that just kind of dress this guy down. I mean, from regular people who just don't believe what he's saying to people who are actual programmers. Let's assume for a second your argument is correct, which it isn't, since Musk already said that there is a true and false field marking whether a user is dead or alive. Still, the fact that the dates aren't correctly in the system can and will lead to people getting paid that shouldn't be. So far, everything they are uncovering shows that these systems are antiquated abominations that have large-scale errors. The fact that they can't trace, let me just make sure you guys can see it, trace what a treasury payment is going out to in $4.2 trillion of payments is pure incompetence of our government. It all needs to be fixed. This will save us far more than this audit is costing. So, there's a lot of people who did not agree with this guy. And Joe kind of presented it as if that guy was just a solid source. I would say, just given his bias, this is not a solid source at all. And this is another person who they say first, COBOL programmers have come forward explaining during Y2K 1999, those default date issues had to be addressed. Second, and that's back, depending on how old you are, Y2K, when it was 1999 and it was almost year 2000, all sorts of people were completely convinced that the system was going to come crashing down because the date was going to change to 00 and all the computers were going to go crazy and everything was just going to go nuts. Nothing actually happened because all the people in coding at the time had already addressed it, but there was no social media for them to just tell everybody to calm down. Second, this would only have explained very specifically, gotta say that with a lisp, the original 150-year-old group originally mentioned. he has since provided additional information showing that there are millions of people 120 to 200 plus years old registered in the system. So again, everything that's been said, it only addresses the 150-year-old group as that whole reset that Joe was talking about. The rest of the numbers are completely unexplained. Now, I will say, just to show you guys all sides, there are people who are showing this data. Now, this data is from the website. Okay, so it's showing that there aren't that many people. Let me just go down to the bottom here so you can see it. I don't know if you can see that number, but it's showing a total of the people, and it's showing the age groups, and basically it's not showing those older age groups that Elon has been showing everybody. Now, a lot of people who are against Elon are saying that Elon lied. He lied and just made those numbers up that I had previously shown you. But in reality, what a lot of other people are saying, let me just pull up the numbers to compare for you. What a lot of other people are saying is that this is just what the website shows. You know, you're not seeing these numbers here is not from a .gov. Elon and his team pulled these directly from the database. What you're seeing here, and just in case you see it online, what you're seeing here is from a website. And that's the problem. The website shows one thing, the actual database shows a completely different story. And that also kind of shows, is there fraud going on? What's actually happening? So I just wanted to go through all that. You know, it's a 40-minute episode here. I won't take up any more of your time, but all in all, this guy who just spent, like, here he is making fun of Marjorie Taylor Greene. You know what I mean? My name's Marjorie Taylor Greene. I have no idea how I got elected. You know, more validation, please. Here he is making fun of Dave Sachs. The whole Trump administration, that's all this guy does, is make fun of the Trump administration, Doge, that's it. That's all the guy does. So I don't see him as a valid source at all. But I will also say, just because you don't like Trump, Elon Musk, or anyone in the administration at all, or anyone who's a Trump supporter, doesn't mean you don't have any legit information. I will also put that out there. But I just wanted to show you guys everything, because the way that Joe showed that, it was kind of like, oh, this is like a programmer guy who's just like, you know, straight line guy, kind of a centrist. And it's like, no, this guy is far left and has dedicated his entire life, it seems, to just posting on here. And honestly, he says he's a vice president in investments. Don't know what that means. That's what he says he does. Maybe he is. Maybe he's like Elon Musk. He has time to do that huge undertaking. And then he also has time to post on Twitter 50 to 100 times a day. I don't know. I don't have the time. I run 2 YouTube channels and I can't find the time. So anyways, guys, just wanted to show you all that information. Like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. It helps the channel tremendously. And other than that, I'm out.